Off the heels of the greatest Super Bowl of all time, we now turn our attention back on the road to WrestleMania with another newsworthy edition of Monday Night Raw. Hello, friends, and welcome to Ridiculously Raw. Ridiculously Over Anthony Flair here with you once again, joined by my elite panel, the host of the Cerebral Smack Talk, good old MF Michael Fletcher. We got the phenom Michael Bullock, my partner in crime from the Raw Chats, and of course, the first lady of the Wrestling Forum, the one and only Twisted Angel, Dee Woodson. Folks, another exciting, newsworthy edition of Monday Night Raw. A lot of news came out of this show tonight. So newsworthy this show was, we actually started off with a newsworthy segment. We have a new addition to the Monday Night Raw roster. It was made official. Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, after taking out Seth Rollins at the end of last week's Raw, was awarded a Monday Night Raw exclusive contract. And he started it off. We started this show with that signing. Samoa Joe signing on the dotted line with Mick Foley and Stephanie McMahon present in the ring. As we started this Raw from the Moda Center, formerly the Rose Garden in Portland, Oregon, the home of the NBA's Portland Trail Blazers. We started off with that. But Samoa Joe, couple things. Samoa Joe wearing the corporate suit, symbolic of, I guess you could say, the authority. And then from there, Samoa Joe was interrupted by the big dog himself, Roman Reigns, and Mick Foley. You know what he said? He said, you know what? As long as I'm still the general manager around here, I still get to make the matches. And he signed a main event for the ages here on Monday Night Raw tonight. Samoa Joe, in his Monday Night Raw in-ring debut, one-on-one with the big dog himself, Roman Reigns. Whew. There's really nothing left to say except this. Great segment. I love the role Foley played, though you have to wonder whether this will ultimately lead to his character's dismissal, or worse yet, another emasculation from Stephanie. Joe was his great badass self, and Reigns was really good in his confrontation. Furthermore, Roman's lines played into what he told The Undertaker at the Royal Rumble in terms of it being his yard now. Though it's ridiculous that the broadcast team cannot acknowledge that. So, we had some in-ring segments on this show tonight. We had quite a few in-ring segments on this show tonight, and I got to say, all of them were really good. This one, no exception. This is how you start off a Monday Night Raw. Sign Joe, have Joe put his signature, put his John Hancock on the contract, get him exclusively signed to Monday Night Raw. What a coup from Monday Night Raw. We needed a shot in the arm, and what a shot in the arm to get. None other than the Samoan Submission Machine, the former TNA World Heavyweight Champion, former X Division Champion, who in his first year and a half in TNA, folks, was unbeaten. He was never pinned, never submitted in his first year and a half. Ask MF, ask Dee Woodson. They know that firsthand. Bullock doesn't because he's never watched TNA a day in his life. But let me tell you, when Joe is the big name that Raw has needed for quite a while. Now we got that monster badass heel in Samoa Joe. And I see big things in line for the Samoan Submission Machine. We saw him wreak havoc in Ring of Honor. Again, MF knows all about that. TNA, we saw what he did there. And of course, NXT. Two-time NXT champion. What's Monday Night Raw going to have in store for him? No question about it. Maybe one day a future United States heavyweight champion. But I think ultimately, a year or two down the road, I can definitely see the Samoan Submission Machine as a Universal Champion. No doubt about that in my mind. All these segments are really good. I honestly cannot put one as I cannot honestly put one over the other. But this is one of the segments of the night because this was absolutely well done. That's how you start a show. Let's bring in good old MF Michael Fletcher. MF, come on in. You're the biggest Joe Mark that we know. You must be delighted to know. I mean, well, I know you would have been even more delighted if he had been signed to SmackDown Live, but your boy, the Samoan Submission Machine, is now the property of the Real A Show, the Red Brand, Monday Night Raw. What do you think of that, brother?
Sorry about that. My mic was muted there. I didn't. I guess my headset wasn't plugged in properly. All right. Let me say this. It's nice that Joe went to Raw. Raw really needs a shot in the arm because let's be realistic. Raw's been sucking lately, and SmackDown has been more superior than Raw, clearly. So get a big name, get somebody that is like, even though um, Joe has a tendency outside the ring to be one of the biggest nogs and divas around from personal experience and from people that the IWC always says that I hear stories about Joe being quite a not so friendly person. So I guess the character suits him. I guess he really takes his character to heart in real life. Anyway, but it was what it was needed. You know, they were gonna make him the destroyer. They wanted to make him a monster, and you know he's been playing that role very well. As a matter of fact, has also gone on Twitter and was like, "Well, all you Rollins fans, you want to cry that he's out maybe for 8 weeks and might not be able to make WrestleMania. Not my problem. I get paid to do my job, and that's beat people up and take names. And I was ordered by Triple H to take Rollins out. Done." So he's like, it doesn't matter who it is. I'm putting everybody on notice, and I'm going to run Monday Night Raw the way I'm going to run it. Rough shot with no fear and no prisoners. That's the way he was in TNA. That's the way he was in Ring of Honor. That's the way he's going to be on Monday Night Raw, and he was on NXT. So good for him. They haven't changed his look, his attitude at all. He's still that, brash, no apologetic animal, and I like that. I love the fact that Vince and Kevin Dunn are not messing with his gimmick, because I would have been flipping out if they would have done that. Michael Bullock, I'm telling you right now, Didi Woodson and Anthony, this is the Samoa Joe that we saw. This is the Samoa Joe we're getting. This is the guy that we need. They need a shot in the arm. They need somebody to really get the blood boiling and get it going. This is a smart move. As far as Roman Reigns goes, that was predictable. We needed Roman, and the reason why he was there, for one reason only, to defend his buddy. That was his best friend you took out. That was his best friend you just crippled and laid up on the shelf now for 8 weeks. They wanted blood, and this was good. I love the interaction by these two guys, and I love that Roman got to the point. He never really, it wasn't elongated storyline. He's like, I never met you before. My name is Roman Reigns, and you call yourself the big dog. Well, this is my yard, and you know what? This is my yard now. That was a little bit of a shot to the Undertaker from Roman Reigns, saying that this is his yard now. When I heard that, I'm like, oh, I think Bullock's gonna be pissed when he hears that. And trust me,
I was saying like, oh no, he didn't.
Trust me, Bullock. There's another moment later tonight, and I know you probably went ballistic on somebody. I'm smelling a phenom rant coming tonight from Michael Bullock. I think there's gonna be a phenom rant, and it had to do with a certain someone that had the nerve to not only call, Michael Bullock will say, the GOAT of the NFL, call him a stupid idiot and put him on a list. I'm not going there, Bullock, so keep that mic muted. We're not going there until later tonight. We'll unleash you later. But yeah, this was solid. This was amazing. I love the fact that they're throwing the Stephanie Foley thing, how they're really starting to go at it. But I love Foley taking charge, taking the reins, and say, no, I'm still the general manager until somebody tells me otherwise. I am going to make this happen. And he made a big move. Good for you, Foley. Bullock, I'll give it to you. This was definitely a solid way to start Monday Night Raw.
Oh, I definitely agree. I mean, this was certainly a great segment here to start off this edition of Monday Night Raw, and yeah, I mean Samoa Joe now added to the Monday Night Raw roster, and boy, I mean hopefully this is a signing that Monday Night Raw really needs, that big name guy, and Samoa Joe is that guy, and you guys talked about his history, and I saw some of his matches at NXT. I mean, it's awesome, especially with his matches against Finn Balor, and especially the rivalry he had with Shinsuke Nakamura. So, I mean, as soon as they saw this, and like they gotta put him on the main roster at some point, and we finally got it. So, yeah, basically he signs the contract and says, you know what? This is a message to everybody on the Raw roster. If you cross my path, I will crush you and I will make you submit. And Roman Reigns was the first man to step up and said, you know what? My name is Roman Reigns. This is my yard. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh, he did not go there. And you guys know this is going to go down. Undertaker and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I mean, why the heck is he using that? This is saying that the ring is his yard. So obviously it's going to happen. But yeah, so he said, you know what? I'm not going to back down from you. And Mick Foley, I mean, he was awesome as well on the mic, saying, you know what? I'm still the general manager, and I make matches, and tonight it's gonna be you, Roman Reigns, against Samoa Joe. So how did the main event go down? You're gonna have to wait and find out. So definitely a great segment to start off this edition of Raw. So our Twisted Angel, Dee Woodson, come on in. Your thoughts on this opening segment?
Okay, I think I just got my new favorite person on Raw, because I have followed Samoa Joe's career for quite some time now, especially through the TNA years. And I mean, the one chant that I was hoping to hear tonight, of course I didn't hear, which is Joe's gonna kill ya. But we all know he's the Samoan submission machine. He is just that tough. You know, he's the one that Triple H felt needed to rule the roost, and I guarantee you, he's the one who's going to do it. In my opinion, Kevin Owens is just biding the time, holding the Universal title until Joe gets up there. I see Joe eventually doing that in his career. As for the segment itself, you know, awesome segment. Definitely the best way to start off Raw. I knew the minute we had this roster split that, you know, Foley and Steph were going to butt heads, and, you know, lately that's what we've seen. But, you know, Foley has managed to hold his own against her, and he's managed to, you know, keep a level head and not let anybody, including her, push him around. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens between those two. As far as Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns, you know, we have the Battle of the Samoans here, and two different families fighting each other here. as for what happens in that match, you'll have to find out a little later on. But awesome segment. The two did very well, in the exchange with each other. So not much more to say. So let's just move on.
And move on we shall to our first match of the night, women's division action. It was Bayley squaring off against Nia Jax, and Nia Jax wins the match in 9 minutes and 25 seconds. MF, this was surprisingly good considering the names involved.
Surprisingly good, surprisingly solid, but a horrific ending. What the? Okay, I know I'm not supposed to use any profanity or anything else because this is a PG show, but what the hell was that ending? Why on earth does Charlotte show up to try to intimidate or try to interfere on a fight? And Nia Jax, let these two women just go. Let them have the match. Let them fight. And this was a damn good fight. Anthony, you even agreed. This was surprisingly good. This was at least a 2.5-star fight. It was almost 3 in my eyes. But, yes, I get it. Next week on Monday Night Raw, we got a big fight in Vegas. Florio, I'm going to let you take that because you deserve that moment. But I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm beyond ticked off right now. Like beyond ticked off right now with that because this was a great match and you had to go and ruin it. I got nothing more to say. Bullock, it's yours.
I agree. I mean, I thought this was a good match here, but the finish was screwy, and I even told it to Florio. I mean, what was the point of Charlotte being there? I mean, yeah, I mean these two are gonna face off of the women's title, but Bayley and Nia Jax have had some good matches, especially at that Takeover London. But I mean, let these two women fight, and Charlotte had the audacity to stick her nose in the match. Ugh. No. And I mean, 2.5. I mean, I was going to say 2.5. I mean, but I can only give it 1.5 to 2 stars as my rating on the match. I mean, oof. I mean, like I said, good match, just a terrible finish. So Dee Woodson, I give it to you, and I know you're gonna go off on this. Dee Woodson, are you there? Did we just lose her?
Yeah, she lost sound. So, yeah.
I think you're gonna have to take this until we get her back.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to step in here. Yeah. Of course, when MF was the big match that MF was alluding to. Here we go. We got Dee Woodson back. Dee Woodson, let's get your thoughts on the women's match with Nia Jax and Bayley.
Sorry, I lost sound. That's why I had to re-hit it. Right there at the end of Bullock's little speech. For me, I'm going to agree quite a bit with Bullock and the rating. It was starting to be a very good match until you pull the same BS that they always pull, just so they can make sure Nia Jax wins the match. Well, are we trying to build up some sort of teamwork with Nia Jax and Charlotte. What the heck is going on here? Why that, I'm with Fletch. Why the heck was she even down there? What was the point for Charlotte to even show up down there? I know her and Bayley have a match coming up, but I mean, it didn't progress their storyline. It didn't do anything but make Nia Jax look like she could not hold her own in this match. And
it just made Bayley look like a freaking tool.
right, it degraded both women having her out there, and it just, I'm sorry, to me, at least the first few matches of Raw, I mean, they just totally suck. And like I said, I'm going to be generous just to give it a 1.5 star, just because of the fact that the girls were putting in effort, and it was starting to be a really good match. It, like you said, it lasted 9 minutes, but then they have to botch everything up and throw in this stupid we can't have a solid winner because we have to make sure that Charlotte Flair gets her time on screen because she's the women's champion. Well, if you're wanting that so freaking much, give the stupid brat a match and let her get out there and kick some butt. Don't throw her out there playing this stupid little I'm going to cause distractions so that my opponent looks stupid before our match crap. I mean, it's idiotic, it's stupid, it's not worth anybody's time, not something the fans want to see, certainly not something that I wanted to see, because you all know I'm harder on these ladies than I am on the guys. And here we are, we're trying to build this new women's revolution. How does this improve the women's revolution? How does this bring us up to the next step and continue the equality that they've been trying to give the women with the men? I mean, here we've had these awesome matches with Charlotte and Sasha, and then you get to some of the lower card talent for the ladies, and you give them crap. Just another wonderful thing to top off a bad week, to have the first match of the night, something you have to rant about. So I'm done. Move on. Florio, take it.
Yeah, I had a feeling a rant was coming. But with all due respect, I got to go with MF's rating on this one. 2.5 stars for me. It was a solid match. Bayley works with Jax really well and always works to her strengths. I get what they were going for with Charlotte costing Bayley the match, and they wanted to protect Jax, but I really would have loved Bayley to have momentum going into next week's title match. Of course, for those of you who don't know, next Monday night on Raw, the big match that MF was alluding to was that Charlotte will be defending the Raw Women's Championship against Bayley next Monday night at the brand new T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. So, good match with a nice finish. It may seem odd to have the challenger lose going into her title match, but it came up with a distraction caused by the champion. Bayley was protected, and Jax still looked like a monster despite Bayley putting up a good fight. So that's it. So 2.5 stars. I agree with MF's rating, with all due respect. Okay. As per customary tradition here on Monday Night, on our Monday Night Raw review, what is a Raw review without a cutout? Well, we have a cutout right here. And when I do this, Raw, you know what that means. Bullock knows what that means. We have a lot of fun with that during our Raw chats. Braun Strowman, 4-on-1 handicap squash match against 4 Hammenegger, jabroni, stupid idiot mutton heads. He took them all out, of course, in about 2 minutes, minute 53 to a minute 55 seconds. Braun smash, good squash match fun. Corey Graves was great on commentary as he spoke about how anyone who wants to face Strowman should speak to a priest and reserve a spot in the ER. And Strowman calling out Mick Foley made me feel like I was watching Raw from a couple months ago. But we did get a payoff at Fastlane on March 5th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the Bradley Center. Braun Strowman, he wants competition? Well, he's going to get some competition. The best competition that anyone can get. And this was expected. Braun Strowman will go one-on-one with the man himself, Roman Reigns. He just put some butts in the seats in Milwaukee. Well, maybe not quite with that bout, but another bout that was announced for Fastlane. Oh, we're gonna talk about that one in a short. But no rating, dud, worst fight of the night. Nothing left to say. Cruiserweight match. We got the first of 2 cruiserweight matches. And in this first match, we had a debut. And this is a debut that I personally have been waiting for. Because I saw this young man as part of the Cruiserweight Classic last summer. And he had a good showing. Even though he didn't win it, he had a great showing. I'm talking about another one of the 2 major superstars out of Japan, Akira Tozawa. He made his Cruiserweight debut. He went up against Drew Gulak, and Akira Tozawa wins the match in 3 minutes and 40 seconds with a beautiful German suplex pinfall move. Now, Michael Bullock, we actually had a little bit of some fun with this during our Raw chat tonight, and you even told me yourself you were impressed with Akira Tozawa's efforts, considering this was the first time you saw him. So Bullock, allude to all of us. I mean, you told me, he said, hey, Florio, hey, this Tozawa kid's pretty good. Didn't you say that?
Oh, yes, I did say that. I thought Tozawa looked really good on his debut on Monday Night Raw, and and this actually turned out to be it was good, not great. Because he did face Drew Gulak, and I'm gonna say probably I'm gonna give it about 1 to maybe 1.25 star. I mean, this is basically getting Tozawa's feet wet with the cruiserweight division here on Raw, and I like his body of work. And here's a man who could be a future cruiserweight champion. Of course, there's a certain king that might beg to differ with me on it. So there's really nothing more I can say on it. So 1 to 1.25 stars is my rating on the match. So, D.D. Woodson, your thoughts on the match?
D.D. Woodson usually skips cruiserweight.
Oh yeah, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, D.D. Woodson continuing her boycott of the cruiserweight division that Bullock recently ended some time ago, which I'm glad he did. I'm giving it 2 stars for the effort. They followed up on 205 Live where they were teasing Brian Kendrick against Tozawa, which is great. The match was perfectly fine, but I wish that they would have properly showcased the guy in a squash match. But at the same time, though, I'm glad there's one part of me that would have liked to have seen a squash match, which is customary for debuting talent. But at the same time, I'm glad they put him in there against an established guy like Gulak. Like on last week's 205 Live, there was too much give and take. Tozawa was trying to make a first impression. He should be in, out, hit his trademark stuff, win, and get out. And Tozawa did a nice job of playing to the crowd during the match and got a better reaction than most debuting cruiserweights do. And Kendrick was heelish on commentary during Tozawa's 205 Live debut last week, which I'll get into later. That's part of my Tony's take on that. And they definitely appear to be setting up a match rather than an alliance between the two. And if we do get that match, oh boy, that's gonna be hella fun, if I do say so myself. Tozawa and Kendrick, sign me up. 2 stars for the effort. MF, Akira Tozawa, how did he look? How did he look in his Raw debut against Drew Gulak in your eyes?
I'm gonna say 2 stars. I mean, this is the first time I actually got to see him, so didn't know really much about him. I didn't watch the tournament, sorry, but I thought he looked good. I mean, it's promising. But one thing that was the biggest takeaway was, him and D. Brian Kendrick. It looks like they might be catering a nice little rivalry coming up between these two men. We'll have to wait and see. I think that'll be an interesting dynamic if these two actually do go at it. We'll have to wait and see. So nothing more to say. Let's just move on to the next part.
All right, and Didi Woodson is going to be leading off on this, and what a way for her to lead off another segment here. Here we go. We had the Universal Champion Kevin Owens along with the United States Heavyweight Champion Chris Jericho. They came out. They did their usual shtick, the gloating. And yes, like Michael, like MF said earlier, Chris Jericho did indeed put Tom Brady on the list for stealing his greatest of all time nickname and called him a stupid idiot. That got a nice little pop from the crowd in Portland, Oregon. And he also referred to Sami Zayn as a muttonhead, which Bullock and I actually got a little laugh out of that because you know how much we love Jericho when he does the stupid idiot muttonhead stuff. But anywho, you think, okay, it's going to be just these two guys running their mouths, yada, yada, yada. Another boring segment with these two. Oh, no, it wasn't boring. Enter Bill Goldberg. Yep, Bill Goldberg was in the house. He showed up, and he had not one, but 2 pieces of business. First piece of business, he addressed the challenge that Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman issued last week for one final bout at WrestleMania. And to the surprise of no one, Goldberg accepted. So it's on. WrestleMania 33, April 2nd, Citrus Bowl in Orlando. Bill Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, one more time. But just wait. It may be just one-on-one for now, but a month from now, expect the stakes to be raised much higher than they are right now. I'll have more on that in a minute. And then the other piece of business. After Goldberg accepted the challenge, Kevin Owens, mocked him and he says, "Hey, I'm the longest running Universal Champ." But then Kevin Owens said, and then Bill Goldberg was saying, "That's because you haven't faced me. So how about you and me at Fastlane for the Universal Championship?" Chris Jericho gets in his face, and then Chris Jericho said, "Well, I never liked you," obviously referring back to the days in WCW. And Goldberg's other WWE run, and then Chris Jericho actually accepts the match on behalf of Kevin Owens. So it's on. Goldberg will challenge Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship at Fastlane, and if he wins the title, which all of the dirt sheets are saying he's going to, picture it at WrestleMania: Bill Goldberg, Brock Lesnar. Universal Championship. Didi Whitson, is that something you'd be interested in or what?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. For me personally, this was definitely the segment of the night. I don't know if you guys will agree with that or not, but for me it was. But, yeah, I mean... Goldberg definitely put these 2 ladies, as he called them, in their places, and Jericho was very quick to make sure that Goldberg knew that Kevin Owens was willing to accept this this match proposal, and that of course that ticked Kevin Owens off because he didn't want the match. But this here also started a big series of backstage segments with these two, So I guess you can say these guys were pretty much the running gag for the whole night. But it all stemmed from this segment here with Goldberg. And, Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar one more time. That's going to be awesome. Goldberg and Kevin Owens, as long as Goldberg knows that he's not going on a one-on-one match, that he's going on a two-on-one match, that one should be pretty damn good too. So not much more to say. Like I said, for me, it was definitely a segment of the night. So Florio, I'm going to toss it back to you.
Yep, I agree, Didi Woodson. Even though I was having a hard time debating about which segment was the best, because there were a lot of good segments on this show, I do agree. But then again, Bullock and I kind of had a feeling about that during our Raw chat tonight, and Didi pretty much confirmed it. So yes, we'll definitely call this the segment of the night because of Bill Goldberg. I mean, Bill Goldberg with double breaking news. One, that of course he's gonna go up against Brock Lesnar one more time at WrestleMania, and now we're gonna see, like we talked about last week when I reported that little finding I found on the dirt sheet, that Bill Goldberg will challenge Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship at Fastlane in Milwaukee on March 5th. So it's set. All signs point to Goldberg beating Owens for the championship and then defending against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Meanwhile, I assume Owens will be the one who will face Jericho at WrestleMania if Jericho has the United States Heavyweight Championship and Owens doesn't have a championship, which is very likely on both ends. And that should be the final straw for Jericho as friends when Owens loses the title at Fastlane. And I know there are some who can't say they're excited to see Kevin Owens lose in less than 2 minutes at Fastlane, like we saw with what happened back at Survivor Series when Goldberg squashed Lesnar in 1 minute and 26 seconds. So, but other than that, this was a phenomenal segment, a great segment. I love the interaction with these guys. And it was pretty much Bill Goldberg. He was pretty much the one who made this segment what it was. So because of that, we got to call it the segment of the night, and we got 2 breaking news items out of it. So, MF, we give it to you now. When I brought up this dirt sheet on our show last week, you had some serious reservations about it, and I know now that it's official, those serious reservations, I'm sure, are even more serious than last time, right?
Let's just say this. It's already the writing's on the wall. Let's be honest. It's an absolute stupid move by WWE because they want to make WrestleMania the biggest and best ever. And I'm sorry. This is as idiotic when they did John Cena versus The Rock, the rematch at WrestleMania 29 WWE Championship. There was no need for the fight. There was no need to put the belt on the line. These two men can just throw down and let it be. But now you're going to have to put the Universal title on the line because that's what McMahon or McCon, like Matt Hardy would say, thinks in his genius mind that that's what the people wants to see. Goldberg and Lesnar for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. No, Vince, that's not what I want. And that's not what I care for. I don't care for 2 legends. No, let me rephrase this. I'm going to get very critical. 2 part-time talents who's only there for a paycheck to be wrestling on your biggest show yet, Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens, 2 guys who's busted their necks for about a good year or so because you want to give younger talent, or I should say older talent, more recognizable names the opportunity at WrestleMania. I guess CM Punk was right all along about the total love for the part-timers and basically bury the everyday guy right under the carpet. You know, the segment was the segment of the night. Goldberg was amazing. I'm not dissing that. He was really good. I like the segment. I like everything that's riding on. The road to WrestleMania. So yeah, my criticisms is going to be ratcheted up a little more higher than usual. If I'm going to call something out, I'm going to call it out and then some. Because it's WrestleMania season, we all got to step our games up now. And right here tonight, I'm calling this. If it's Goldberg and Lesnar, which I think it will be, for the Universal Championship, Florio, you're on your own on this one. I'm boycotting it. I don't want to waste any time for this garbage to see Brock Lesnar destroy Goldberg and win the title, because that's what they're going to do. That's the game plan. That's the storyline. Lesnar gets his ultimate revenge and wins the Universal Championship. Then you're not going to see the belt for God knows how long, because chances are he's probably going to leave after WrestleMania to take a little sabbatical. Then what do you do with the Raw title? What happens to the Raw title at that point? I mean, for the life of me, man, for the life of me is what I say. It just leaves a bitter taste. And trust me, the IWC has been very vocal about this. They don't want this fight. They don't want to see a Goldberg-Lesnar rematch. I mean, thank God that they did that shocking dud fight as Survivor Series, and that's great. And then you had that little brief showdown at Royal Rumble. Okay. But there's no need to put a title on the line at WrestleMania. There isn't. There's no point in this. If it's Goldberg and Lesnar straight up one-on-one, I can live with that. I can live with it. But just for the fact that you're putting the Universal title on the line, I mean, it's an idiotic move. It's a ridiculous move. It's a stupid move. It makes no point, because what do you do at that juncture? What? If Owens retains, you're thinking, okay, either Finn Balor comes back, or you have Jericho and Owens fight each other for the Universal Championship. That's more logical. That's more smarter. That's more better. WWE, I hope you don't pull the trigger on a Lesnar Goldberg for the Universal title, because so help me, I will deliberately break the PG rule, and I will go off. And there ain't nobody that's going to stop me if I do. I'll pay the fine. If I get kicked off for a night, then shall be it. But I am putting WWE, and especially Monday Night Raw, I'm putting you on notice tonight. I'm not kidding around. I'm not playing games. You want to tempt fate? Go for it. I dare you. Bullock, it's yours.
Oh my goodness. Damn, Fletcher. Tell us how you really feel. Woo! Man. All I gotta say is, and I can't believe we haven't said this in a while. In the moral words of Regis Philbin, well, how do you follow that? My gosh. I don't know if I can even follow that, but whew, I don't think I can even top what Fletcher did, but I do agree. I mean, this is good. This is the segment of the night. I mean, Goldberg saying that he accepts the challenge of of Brock Lesnar for a match at WrestleMania 33 to meet one more time, and then Kevin Owens makes a mockery of Goldberg and then says, you know what? How about I challenge you at Fastlane for your Universal title? And Chris Jericho basically accepts on behalf of him. And you know what, Fletch? I don't think you're going to have to worry about it, because here's what I think is going to go down. Yes, these two are going to fight at Fastlane for the Universal title, but I think Brock Lesnar is going to show up and is going to cost Goldberg the match, and Kevin Owens is going to retain the Universal title. And I mean, that's how you build for their matchup at WrestleMania. I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. And as far as for what's going to happen with the Universal title, here's what I think. If I think Finn Balor's going to return at WrestleMania, and I think he's going to challenge Kevin Owens for the Universal title, because remember, Finn Balor never lost the Universal title. He had to forfeit it because of injury. And I think he should be clear and ready to go for WrestleMania. So that's what I think is going to happen. At least that's what I think. I don't know how you guys think about my theory. So, yeah, so segment of the night, and there's really nothing more to say except Dee Woodson. What says you, and how are you going to... Oh,
He let off Bullock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we just move on, and what you just heard from Fletcher there, that was not the good old MF side of him. That was his Cerebral Viper side, no doubt about it. And well, very interesting scenario there, Bullock. I mean, you never know, that could happen, but I don't know about it. I mean, there's this part of me that's thinking Goldberg's going to win the belt at Fastlane. I don't know why, but I'm getting that feeling Goldberg's going to win it, and they're going to set up Goldberg and Lesnar for that Universal Championship. And in a way, I kind of hope so, because I mean, I would love to see and hear the mother of all Cerebral Viper rants, courtesy of one MF, because I mean,
I don't think we want to.
Well, come WrestleMania, remember, recap shows. MF does the recap shows for joint effort pay-per-views, as well as the SmackDown Live exclusive pay-per-views. I only do it for the Raw exclusives.
Well, the thing is, what if this match does happen and he does end up boycotting? Then who's going to do the recap?
I'm sure he would still host the show. I just don't think he would say anything about the match. I mean,
yeah. Let me clarify something, Bullock. No, I'm not out of the WrestleMania show. That's not happening.
No way.
I'm just boycotting
That match.
Lesnar
just the
versus
match.
Goldberg for the Universal title. Yeah. No, when you had your sit-in or your boycott for the Cruiserweight division, like Dee Woodson's doing right now, that's what I meant. No. Don't get it twisted. I would boycott the fight. I'm not boycotting WrestleMania. No, I'd be stupid to do that.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think the scenario that I put, I think makes much more sense.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. You never know.
Well, it really depends. I mean, I would like to see that, but you know how McMahon and your boy Kevin Dunn's been playing lately, Bullock. They like to pull the rug out from under us. They think they believe that they're doing the right thing by doing Lesnar Goldberg for the Universal title, and unfortunately, if you've been hearing the suggestions from the fans, nobody wants it.
And that's why I think if McMahon or Kevin Dunn are listening right now, they would go with my scenario.
Yeah.
But obviously they don't have the nerve or the balls to listen to anyone except their own freaking egos in their own freaking mind.
But it's not only that, but you also need to satisfy the corporate people too, because that's the other thing. Because you're talking,
Yeah, they don't
it's
care about
about
what
the
they want, what the fans
it's
want. They only care about what the corporate people want.
yeah,
It-
because
They only care about what's going to put the moolah in their back pockets.
and it's all about what's gonna be the thing that's gonna be the most beneficial to marketing, to advertising, to everything that you need for a successful WrestleMania. Now you gotta think of it as a business thing. This is no longer a ma or pa type thing. This is business now. Stephanie and Triple H used to say in The Authority, it's what you need, what's best for business. And at the end of the day, if Vince and Kevin believes that it's Goldberg, Lesnar for the Universal title, because like I said, the marketing. How can you do that? Lesnar has lost already twice, humiliated in back-to-back major pay-per-views, got buried at the Survivor Series, got buried in the Royal Rumble by Goldberg in less than 2 minutes combined. That's what now Lesnar out for revenge to end the trilogy with Goldberg with the title on the line. There's enough firepower that you can use. Even though I don't give a you know what about it, and I would definitely boycott it, it's my own personal opinion. More than anything else. Now, I like your theory that would give Balor an opportunity to get the belt back, but I've also heard a theory of maybe Jericho versus Owens for the United States Heavyweight Championship. And the reason why they're doing that fight was because supposedly Jericho's on his way out because he's got commitments with Fozzy again.
Yep.
And that's why that could happen. I would get it. I think it would be a better fight, but it defeats the whole purpose. Why would you lower Kevin Owens back down to a secondary title where for most of the year he was the man? He was the top dog of Monday Night Raw with the Universal Championship. Now, right or wrong, or the way you feel about the Universal Championship, it does have relevance. It does have legitimacy. I just don't want to see the belt become a part-time act. That belt deserves to be defended every month and very rarely on Monday Night Raw, but I think it deserves to be on the line, not relegated to see it pop up again in the summer where you have 3 months of no belts, of no championship. That does not fly with me. And that was one of the biggest criticisms I had when Brock Lesnar was the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. You need the belt to be defended every month.
I agree.
Every 3 or 4 pay-per-views out of the year. That's not what this is about. Okay? This is not ballet. This is not any other stupid thing that they're doing. You want to be a mutton head, be my guest. But I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, this is great. This is grandy. No. It's WrestleMania season, damn it. We all need to step up. So that's why I laid that warning out. And that's why I fired that missile tonight.
There you go. That's exactly right, MF. And you have every right to. So yeah, we just wanted to clear all that up. So with all that being said, let's just move on. We'll have plenty of time to get into this down the line. Trust me, we got a lot of time to get into this. It will come up again down the road. But right now, let's get into our next match here on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. First of 2 championship matches on the night. return match for the Raw Tag Team Championship. The champions, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, defending against the challengers and former champions, Sheamus and Cesaro, who they won the titles from as part of the Royal Rumble kickoff show 8 nights ago. Winners of the match in 9 minutes and 2 seconds via a disqualification, and still your Raw Tag Team Champions, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, after interference by Enzo and Cass, mainly Cass, because of a big boot on Luke Gallows after he attacked Enzo Amore. So I'm going to give it 2 3/4 stars. I mean, it was pretty good, but not as good as their recent outings. The finish felt flat and predictable, but at the same time, you have to get Sheamus and Cesaro away from Anderson and Gallows to freshen things up. So it worked in that sense. But on the other side of the coin, it seems like they are setting up a triple threat match for Fastlane with Gallows and Anderson, Sheamus and Cesaro, and Enzo and Cass. It'll be interesting to see if they go with an even bigger tag match for WrestleMania involving the New Day, as they have to find ways to get a lot of people on the show, and a big tag match like that would most definitely help in that regard. So that's really all I can say on that. 2 3/4 stars. That's the best I can give it. So with that being said, MF, if you've recovered from your rant, let's get it back to you here. Your thoughts on this Raw Tag Team title match, as well as my little scenario there.
Good match, solid fight. I hated the ending again, and that's gonna become a little bit of the theme tonight. This was a solid fight. I really thought this was about a 2.5, teetering on 3, but more 2.5 stars. Solid tag team action, good story, good everything. I get why they wanted Enzo and Cass out there. It was kind of more of an unfortunate that they got involved at the end and cost Cesaro and Sheamus the titles, because it looked like they were going to win the belts. But at the end of the day, I don't have nothing wrong with this. Now, this is right. This was a right move, smart decision. And Anthony, you're right. I think that it's going to be a fatal, a triple threat for the titles. Then you're probably going to have maybe a fatal 4, or like one of those. I would say do a tag team gauntlet for the Raw tag team titles. You got enough teams in there that you can work with. So, I mean, nothing more to say. Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I'll give it 2.5 stars as well. I mean, it was a good match, and like once again, I didn't like the ending. I thought it was stupid, but you know what? It's the right move to keep the titles on Gallows and Anderson. I mean, it's way too soon to take the belts off them, especially after finally getting their just dues with winning the tag team titles. So, yeah, I mean, I do agree with everything you just said, Fletch. So there's really nothing more to say. So, Dee Woodson, what says you?
Did you lose sound again?
I think it looks like she did lose her sound again.
No, we can't. No, we really can't. Dee. Okay. My guess is she's probably gonna go out and come back in again, like she did earlier in the show. But yeah, interesting scenario there as far as the Raw Tag Team Championship goes. I'm looking at a triple threat at Fastlane with Anderson and Gallows, Cesaro and Sheamus, Enzo and Cass. We'll see how they decide to book that in Milwaukee next month. But there's a part of me that, I mean, my gut is telling me Anderson and Gallows keep the belts, but my heart is telling me Enzo and Cass win the belts. And, that's what we want to see. We want to see the Wrestling Forum's favorite tag team as tag team champions. All right, Didi Woodson's back in. All right, Didi, if you're all set, I think I can hear something coming from your end. So
I
your
hope
thoughts on
so.
that? Oh, there you go. Okay, just wanted to be sure. All right, your thoughts on that Raw Tag Team Championship match, as well as my little scenario, if you'd like.
Yeah, I was hoping that it was working because I had tried to comment when Mike was talking about, Fletch was talking about all that stuff earlier, and it wasn't working then either. So I've got my backup headset out just in case this goes out again. I have a feeling my USB ports are going out on my laptop because that's what my headset's plugged into. Okay. The match, I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. It was, it's a very good match. I don't think Enzo and Cass would have gotten involved if it wasn't for the fact that they attacked Enzo first, and of course, Cass wants to protect his little buddy as much as possible. And as far as doing a gauntlet for the tag teams, that I'm all for that, or even one of these tag team elimination type matches, either or. I mean, whatever they can come up with, it would be fun just to see. It would be fun to see another gauntlet, because they haven't done that in who knows how long. So that's probably about all I have to say about that. So I'll toss it over to you guys.
Yeah. And MFN, Didi Woodson make great points. If you don't know, this Sunday night at the Elimination Chamber event, which is exclusive to SmackDown Live, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships are going to be defended in a tag team turmoil match with all those teams involved. So that's what we're going to get Sunday night when the American Alphas defend their SmackDown Tag Team Championship against all those teams that they came face-to-face with. The Usos, the Vaudevillains, Heath Slater and Rhino, Breezango, the Ascension. Turmoil match at the Elimination Chamber on Sunday night. And who knows, maybe we could see something similar to that for the Raw belts at WrestleMania. It's very possible. So I don't know how the suits to have it scouted yet, but only time will tell. So, all right. Then they gave the update on Seth Rollins, which was very brief. They talked how Rollins tore the MCL in his knee and his participation in WrestleMania is in serious doubt. Yeah, that was a disappointing segment to me. I'm not really gonna have these guys address it. I'll address it briefly. That Rollins update, it was very brief, and I'm surprised they didn't do more to help establish that this was a legitimate injury. There are different grades of an MCL tear, so it's hard to establish a timeline based on that diagnosis. So I was kind of hoping for a more legitimate update, but unfortunately they didn't really do that. So yeah, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, just a smidgen. So let's just move on. Then we had a tag team match. The New Day went up against the Shining Stars. The New Day, they win the match in 5 minutes and 45 seconds. I don't know if these guys want to get into it. It's up to you guys. If you want to get into it, we can. If
Move
you want
on.
Okay, move on. All right. Yep. I think Bullock spoke on behalf of everybody. So, yep. All right. I'll just give you my brief thought on it. I'm actually going to give it 2.5 stars. It was a solid match, and it was a solid match to keep New Day in tag title contention, and that's really all I can say on that. So, that match wasn't as bad as you guys thought it was. So that's pretty much it on that. So, all right. Now we're going to talk about something extremely fun. Tonight, WWE announced the second inductee, or should I say inductees. You notice I said inductees instead of inductee. Our second inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017, joining Kurt Angle. It'll be none other than the legendary Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, They are going into the WWE Hall of Fame. And what else is there to say? I mean, All-Star Wrestling Tag Team Champions on one occasion, AWA Southern Tag Team Champions on 2 occasions, CWA Tag Team Champions 1 time, and a CWA World Tag Team Champion 1 time. NWA World Tag Team Championship, the Mid-Atlantic version as part of Crockett Promotions 4 times. NWA World Tag Team Champions in the Korean Pro Wrestling Association. Mid-South Tag Team Champions 3 times. In the National Wrestling Alliance, 1 time NWA World Tag Team Champions, as well as being inducted into their Hall of Fame in 2006. MACW Tag Team Champions 3 times. NWA Southwest World Tag Team Champions 1 time. NWA Wildside Tag Team Champions 1 time. Mid-South Wrestling Association. Southern Tag Team Champions. PWA Tag Team Champions. PWE Tag Team Champions. PWI Tag Team of the Year in 1986. Number 4 out of the best 100 tag teams during the PWI years in 2003. Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team Champions 10 times. That's right, 10 times. Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team Champions. 1 time TCW Tag Team Champion. A 1-time UCW Tag Team Champion. In the USWA, they were NWA and USWA World Tag Team Champions. 1 time for the NWA, 2 times for the USWA. 1 time WOW Tag Team Champions. Inducted in as they also went into the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame, class of 2014, and now WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017. So with that being said, I'm gonna make this I'm gonna have this as an open forum here. I think this is a perfect segment for an open forum here. I don't want to dilly dally and go in order. So we'll do that on the next bout. So open forum here. Whoever wants to start this off, your thoughts on the Rock and Roll Express going into the Hall of Fame. We're going to start off with MF.
Yeah, no, I want this. I want to get in and I want to talk about this. I'm so happy. Congratulations to the Rock and Roll Express, or like the Hardys said during the tag team Apocalypto, the Express that rock and roll. That this was well deserved, man. There's really nothing more to say. Even though I never really got to see them like fully, because it was a little bit before my time, but I was able to watch it, with the luxury of watching it on YouTube now. So I get to see a lot of their classic fights from way back when. And this was, they are an amazing tag team. Way back when you have guys, or when you have a team like them, and they revolutionized the division. They looked like the modern day Rockers. If you can believe that, there is a look of like that Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty type look way back when, and they were just such a good team. Anthony ran down all the accolades, all the respect that they have done, but there is nothing more to say. This was a team that was in setting team, and they had a lot of ladies that really loved them because they had that baby face, the shyness, the cuteness way back when. I think Dee Dee Woodson might agree with that, more than anything else. But for Anthony, myself, and Bullock, we all respected them because they were really good tag team wrestlers. They were purists too. They had the high flying skills a little bit, but they were more mat style wrestlers. They were more mathematicians in the ring. They knew how to cut the corners off. Keep the ring to one side and a quality tag team force. And that's what I'll say about the Rock and Roll Express. And even still to this day, they wrestle from time to time, not very often, but they do wrestle, in those legend style shows. And like I said, they just most recently, they were a part of the tag team Apocalypto of the Hardys, and the Broken Genius of Matt Hardy. and in total during total nonstop deletion. But true honor, congratulations to the Rock and Roll Express. Welcome to the WWE Hall of Fame. Well deserved, and definitely major props for them to get in. Whoever wants it next, it's yours.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a lot of great things about him. Definitely one of the top tag teams in professional wrestling. I mean, I really don't know that much about him, but Anthony, I mean, he pretty much ran down all the accolades for them. So there's really nothing more to say. I mean, they all pretty much touched on it. So congratulations to the Rock and Roll Express, the newest members of the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017. Joining, of course, Kurt Angle. So now the question is, who's going to be next to join Kurt Angle and the Rock and Roll Express in the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017? So we'll just have to wait and find out. So Dee Woodson, I mean, why don't you give us a little brief thought on this induction?
Yeah, I can remember a few of the matches. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail because that was several years ago, and yeah, Fletch said it. A lot of the ladies swooned over these guys because in more you all's time it would have been Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers type thing where they were swooning over. Well, back then it was these guys, and they definitely they definitely was one of the ones who you could say really kind of cemented some of what you have today with the tag teams. I mean, there's a lot of guys that has over the years, but you wouldn't see some of these guys if it wasn't for people like these two or the Von Erichs or these guys that were all coming in there at the beginning and back with with Mid-South and all the the territories that they had back then, and even some of the even smaller areas. But when I was growing up in Tulsa, we had our own little company there in Oklahoma, and we had the Big Chief down there, and several others, and in fact Kevin even worked with a guy at the jail that was in that for a while in that group. Of course, he never made it big, and we've just all these people that have laid the foundation, and now you get the next generation comes through, they lay the next foundation, but you have to have that starting point, and the Rock and Roll Express definitely was one of these starting points, and they definitely deserve this. Kurt Angle, it deserves it, but in my opinion, they deserve it even more than Kurt Angle because they were there in the beginning. They were there laying the foundation, and it's just one of those things where I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to run down their matches. I'm not going to run down anything like that. You guys covered all that, but being from the era before you three were even born, I mean, you can pretty much imagine all the accomplishments that these guys had to do just to get it prepared for what we're having today with the tag teams. You know, you wouldn't have anybody that we have now if it wasn't for our foundation that we have to start with. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to Kurt Angle and anybody else who steps up next to be that they induct into the Hall of Fame. So let's just move on.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm happy for these guys as well. I mean, I know a little more about these guys than you guys do, because I've seen a few of their matches. The first time I ever saw them, 1993 Survivor Series. We'll never forget it when they went up against the Heavenly Bodies as part of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling angle. It was for the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team Championship. Gorilla Monsoon and Jim Ross called the match in the old Boston Garden, and that was it. And it was a part of an agreement between Vince McMahon and Jim Cornette back then. Of course, they were also in the AWA, NWA. They had some great feuds. They also had they had some great wars with Doom for the tag titles, and then Ricky Morton would eventually turn heel and become Richard Morton as part of the York Foundation, and then Smoky Mountain Wrestling, the wars of the Heavenly Bodies, obviously well documented. And they were in WCW for a bit. They went up against the Harlem Heat. They also went up against High Voltage, the Faces of Fear, Ming and the Barbarian. And they went back to the WWE in 1998 as part of WrestleMania 14. They were in a tag team battle royal against the LOD 2000 in the new Midnight Express. We'll never forget that. Unforgiven 98. Remember the new Midnight Express against the Rock and Roll Express for the NWA Tag Team Championship? We'll never forget that. And then, of course, they were in TNA. They used to be with Vince Russo and the Sports Entertainment Extreme faction. Had a feud with America's Most Wanted. Wildcat Chris Harris, Cowboy James Storm, yes. And then, of course, most recently, like MF alluded to, they were part of Total Nonstop Deletion. Yes, they certainly were. And as part of Tag Team Apocalypto, and boy, howdy, was that all kinds of fun. So, but nonetheless, on behalf of all of us here at the Wrestling Forum and, Ridiculously Raw, Cerebral Smack Talk, what have you, congratulations and well-deserved to Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, the newest inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017, along with your Olympic hero and mine, Kurt Angle. So, all right, here we go. Let's get back to the action here. United States Heavyweight Championship match, our second title match of the evening. Chris Jericho defending against Sami Zayn. Winner of the match in 10 minutes. And still, United States Heavyweight Champion. It is Chris Jericho. Michael Bullock, we're going to start it off with you since MF led off on our Hall of Fame discussion. So, Bullock, your thoughts on Zayn and Jericho for the U.S. title?
Yeah. What was the time of the fall again?
10 minutes.
I'll give it about 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star for this match. Good match. I mean, another screwy finish with Kevin Owens getting involved and super kicking his former best friend Sami Zayn. So, I mean, the action I thought was awesome. I mean, between the two, I mean, there were times I thought Sami Zayn was going to do it, but yeah, they had to go the route where Kevin Owens would interfere and Chris Jericho would basically capitalize, hitting the code breaker and gets the win. So nothing more to say. So, Dee Woodson, what says you?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 2.25 stars. Until the ending, to me it was a pretty solid match. But like I said, the whole show we had segments with these two all the way up. So, you knew something was going to happen. This isn't the first time they've played this I'm mad at each other type thing. And then ended up in the end, still being, best buds and everything. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens as far as these two go. But yeah, like I said, I'm not surprised KO got involved. Not surprised Jericho won. But solid match for me. Like I said, 2.25 stars. So Florio, it's yours.
I'm actually going to give it 3 stars and give it the second best fight of the night honors here. Good match, and the finish works to protect Sammy and also plays into the angle. Owens is obviously not happy about having to face Goldberg and knows that he's going to need Jericho's help to potentially win. Owens and Jericho stay on the same page for another night. The tease earlier in the show was nice, and I have no doubt that these two know all the little things to do to tease us that tonight could be the night until it finally happens. The actual match was actually entertaining, and I cannot help but feel like WWE could have gotten more out of the U.S. Championship match by treating it like a bigger deal. So that's all I can say on that. So solid 3 stars for me. Second best fight of the night. MF, what says you?
I'm going to go 2.5 to 3 stars as well. I think this was a solid fight, no doubt about it. I'm going to be very, very short and sweet with it. Anthony, let's just move on.
All right, fair enough. Now we move on to our second cruiserweight match of the night. It was, actually what happens was we had a 2-for-1 deal here. It was actually supposed to be an in-ring segment. We had Austin Aries, a double. Greatest man who ever lived. Austin Aries. He was planning on having a one-on-one interview with the cruiserweight champion Adrian Neville, and then all of a sudden, and here comes some more news as part of this newsworthy show. Aries announced that tomorrow night on 205 Live on the WWE Network, we're going to have a fatal 5-way elimination match. T.J. Perkins, the gentleman Jack Gallagher, the premier athlete Tony Nese, Noam Dar, and Cedric Alexander. Those 5 men will meet in a 5-way elimination match tomorrow night, 205 Live, and the winner of that match will face Adrian Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship at Fastlane on March the 5th. Got all that? So then, while Aries was trying to interview Neville, all 5 of those competitors came out, and then a major melee ensued, a brawl ensued, and then it led into an impromptu 6-man cruiserweight tag team matchup where it was TJP, TJ Perkins, the gentleman, Jack Gallagher, and Cedric Alexander going up against the premier athlete, Tony Nese, Noam Dar, and cruiserweight champion, Adrian Neville. Winners of the match in about 4.5 to 5 minutes and 15 seconds or so, the face team wins it. TJP, actually it was Cedric Alexander who scored the winning fall, the lumbar check on Noam Dar. So the face team of Alexander, Perkins, and Gallagher win the fight. Okay. Solid. As far as the segment goes, it was a solid segment that set up the match for tomorrow night, which will lead to a pay-per-view title match. Where it failed was that no one really got any time to talk because it went by so quickly. It was solid and served its purpose, but it still came off as a little bit forced to me. And what else did I say? And some actually said, "Hey, I'll take that over one of the many forgettable cruiserweight matches we've seen on Raw." It wasn't very good, and TJP still strikes me as the most arrogant babyface in all of pro wrestling. But I like that they took the time to set up a match for 205 Live rather than simply deliver the empty line about how it's the most exciting hour of television. And as far as the fight is concerned, I'm actually going to give it 2.5 stars for the effort. Another solid match serving as a preview for tomorrow's Fatal 5-Way on 205 Live. They keep getting shorted on time, which does them no favors. And And even with that, I actually enjoyed that more than most of the pointless matches we get on Raw. It served a purpose in terms of setting up the match tomorrow night and forwarding the story of Neville walking out on Dar just as he did on 205 Live. And one other thing that needs to be addressed, because it was because this segment came in the middle as the meat in the sandwich, if you will, during this cruiserweight stuff. We're finally going to see Emelina next week. MF, you've been dying to see this. You've been dying for it more than any of us have. So your thoughts on that, as well as all that stuff with the cruiserweights.
Hallelujah. It's happening. Thank you. There is a God. Holy cow, man. Oh, do you know how long it's been? Damn. All right. Back to the job at hand and back to why I got to do my job. I see Dee Winston shaking her head. Oh, God, she's going to give me heck for this. Anyway. Good fight. Good match. Solid. And you know what? I don't mind it. The lumbar check. Homo Bolobo! But he hit him with the lumbar check. Great victory for Cedric Alexander. You know, nice way to get a little measure of revenge from Noam Dar, because Noam Dar keeps sticking the knife into him about, oh, how I stole your girlfriend, Alicia Fox. I mean, okay. We get it. You took his gal. You took the pretty lady from him. Okay, we get it. But you know, I gotta say, man, based off the reaction from the crowd, and I know it was very little crowd reaction, but I think the number one contender for Cedric Alexander, who's gonna, I should say, the number one contender for Adrian Neville after 205 Live tomorrow night is, I gotta do it. I gotta go with my man, the man from England, man. God save the Queen and the gentleman. I gotta go with Gallagher, man. I gotta go with Gallagher. I like his gimmick. I love his style. You know, I think he's growing on me. I don't know why. And you know, I'm not that easily swayed, but there's something about Gallagher. I think he's a cool guy, you know, nice, young, brash talent from the UK. And trust me, there's a lot of UK guys that are really starting to break through in WWE. If you don't think so, take a look what has happened after the UK tournament and the whole 9 yards. This is really going to start to revolutionize itself. It's starting to get good. I like Gallagher. And you know what? I try to be as a gentleman as I can be, but I think Anthony and Bullock are kind of more in that realm. I there's a few rough edges around me, and I think we can all agree with that. I definitely march to the beat of my own drummer. There's sometimes where I don't mind to mix it up, get myself in trouble a little bit. But you know, I like Gallagher. He's a real cool dude. I love his style. Plus, you know, he gave me one of the most funny moments during the Royal Rumble with the low blow with the umbrella, and then the umbrella spinning like a top on Jericho for a little bit before he nailed him with the beautiful drop kick. Yes, I know it was a little funny. I know, Floyo, you weren't really too thrilled about it, but dude, the guy can wrestle. He can definitely perform. Kitty went bye-bye for Dee Woodson. So there goes so off to the mic. Off goes the Cam. But no doubt about it. And I liked it. I thought it was cool. Nothing bad to say. Bullock, yours. Go.
I'm gonna say about 2 to 2.5 stars is my rating on the match. I mean, I thought the match was good for the short amount of time that it got. So there's really nothing more to say. And I actually agree with Mike Fletcher. I think Jack Gallagher, is going to come out the new number one contender for the cruiserweight title. And I mean, And I've been impressed with Jack Gallagher with some of the moves he can do. So yeah, so 2.5 stars is my rating on the match. So Florio, it's yours.
Well, as far as who I think is going to win that match, Gallagher is my second choice. There's actually one that I'm leaning a little more towards, honestly, and that is Cedric Alexander. I mean, he won the match tonight, so that could be an indication. So we'll see what happens. I think that match is going to coincide with Cerebral Smack Talk tomorrow night. So who knows? Maybe we could actually report on that result during the show tomorrow night, like we did once before when we reported about Rich Swann winning the Cruiserweight Championship. Remember that? That garnered a big rating. So let's see what happens. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that tomorrow night as part of Cerebral Smack Talk. So with all that said, let's move on to our main event. Main event of the evening. Oh boy. Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, winner of the match in 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Samoa Joe with a little help from, you guessed it, Braun Strowman. MF, main event. What'd you think of it?
I gotta go with a solid fight. This was a good main event. Joe looked good. Joe looked good in his first fight on Monday Night Raw. There was nothing bad to say about it, and I love the battle that he had with Roman. Roman and Joe solidly performed what I thought they were gonna do. Of course, I'm very down on Strowman showing up and interfering at the end of the night. But you want to make Joe look good because this was his first night on Raw. You don't want to let him get buried by Roman Reigns because I know IWC would absolutely call him ballistic. So, no, good fight, solid match. To 3 stars is my official rating for the main event of the evening. But that was expected. I don't know what they're gonna do with Joe. Strowman and Roman are definitely on a collision course now after the post fight. Strowman destroying Reigns, throwing him straight through the barricade. The barricade breaks. Big spot there at the end of the night. The fans basically going absolutely disrespectful in Portland, saying thank you, Strowman, which I know any other fan who would do that, we would basically lambast and start ripping them to shreds for basically not being, when it's an IWC crowd and people who definitely has a complete and utter disdain for Roman Reigns, fine, whatever. It is what it is. But it served its purpose. That's the way the show went at the end. I got nothing wrong with it. This was a very good way to close the show. So 2 3/4 to 3 full stars. My rating, Mike Bullock. What says you?
I'm gonna give it 3 to 3.25 stars. This was my fight of the night. I mean, yeah, another screwy finish, but it serves the purpose because I mean, obviously you want to. Of course, I have Strowman. I mean, go after Roman Reigns to basically build the fight they're gonna have at Fastlane. So yeah, and I thought Samoa Joe, he looked really impressive in his first match on the main roster, and I mean he really punished Samoa Joe really punished Roman Reigns. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So 3 to 3.25 stars. So Dee Woodson, I give it to you.
Yeah, I would agree with the rating. Definitely fight of the night. Like I said, I've been a Joe Mark for a while, so seeing him win, not a surprise. Far as Strowman coming out, storyline progression here with him and Reigns since they've been, pretty much going at it for a while. I see this, ending probably right before WrestleMania, when we'll probably have Reigns versus Undertaker. So, even after the match, still good storyline progression there, and so I don't really have anything bad to say about it. Solid fight. So just move on.
Yep. We're all. I think we're all in agreement here. This is the fight of the night, no question about it. I'm giving it 3.5 stars. I mean, I felt it was a really good match with Joe all fired up and Reigns giving him a ton in his Raw debut. Joe looked good here, and the post-match made sense, following up from last week and adding to the build for Reigns and Strowman at Fastlane. So that's really all I can say on that. So, yeah, storyline progression. Didi Whitson, you had it right. So that's pretty much all I can say on that. 3.5 stars. That's my fight of the night. And now we get into our overall review of Monday Night Raw tonight. And Michael Bullock, let's start it off with you, man. Another newsworthy show here tonight.
Why don't you start off with Fletch? Or
right.
you, I should say. Or Didi
right.
Woodson. I meant Didi Woodson.
If Didi Whitson is ready, did you or I can take it if you want. Doesn't matter. So, all right, I'll start it off then. Why not? I can make this an open thing here, so I'll take it here. 7.25 out of 10 for me. I love this show tonight. This was a really good show. The show felt focused as they did build for 205 Live and Fastlane. It wasn't the greatest, but it felt dialed in as they advanced and built angles. I could have done without so many of those distractions leading to finishes, as it became a crutch, but it was a good show overall. Another good show. Raw was a drag to watch more often than not following the brand split. And I'm probably being kind when it comes to the timeline, but they have put together a stretch of quality shows over these last several weeks. They are doing a nice job of setting the table now that they have real plans for the top WrestleMania bouts. So that's really all I can say on that. So I'm going to give it 7.25 out of 10 for me. So whoever wants it next, take it.
What did you give it, Florio?
I gave it 7.25 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it about 7 to 7.25 out of 10. I mean, I thought this was a solid and newsworthy edition of Raw. I mean, with everything that went down tonight. So, yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more for me to say. So, I'm just gonna give it to Flex.
7 out of 10 is my rating for the night. Yes, it was a very newsworthy show. There was a couple of good fights that they had that had very screwy finishes that really got under my skin. And then, like I said, there was that one segment, Goldberg versus Owens for the Universal Championship. And this was the fight that really is gotten under my skin. More than anything else, I hope they don't go down that route. If they do, you know it. So, nothing more to say. 7 out of 10 for me. I guess Didi's the last one to go, so it's yours, my dear.
Yeah, I'll agree. 7 out of 10. I said at the beginning of the show, the first few matches just wasn't very good. It took to get almost to hour 3 to actually get some really half decent matches, in my opinion. But we had a lot of very strong segments, a lot of very strong story progression. But you also had a lot of really just nonsense that didn't need to be in there, like Charlotte and even the backstage segment with Charlotte and Banks. I thought that was a little bit overboard as well too. But it is what it is. It was basically Raw this week was the Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho show, because they were in just about every backstage segment. And of course you had the in-ring segment, you had the match, it was just a lot of them, and not much of anything else other than some really good segments and Joe contract signing, which was, in my opinion, the second best segment of the night. I definitely checked out during the cruiserweight stuff. Watched maybe probably about half of it, and I'll say that this is about the only comment I will probably say on the cruiserweights. The matches are getting a little bit better, but you get certain things going in there, and it's like, just go home. It doesn't, it's just not, for me personally, it's just not, something that I think should be on Raw. I still think it's taking time away from Raw on some of the other stuff they could be doing, especially since, the cruiserweights have their own show after SmackDown. What's the point in having them on both nights? But it is what it is. Storyline building show. So I check out. See you guys tomorrow. Good night, guys.
All right. Good night, Edie Whitson. We'll see you tomorrow night for Cerebral Smack Talk. So with that being said, let's get into my my Tony's take now. We're gonna start it off with 205 Live, and which of course, as you know, it follows SmackDown Live every Tuesday night. Started it off with a tag team match. Well, actually, it was a one-on-one match. I'm sorry. The Premier Athlete Tony Nese squaring off against Lince Dorado. Tony Nese wins the match in 6 minutes and 10 seconds with that knee strike move of his. Second best fight of the show, 2 3/4 stars. Another pretty good match, but another that lacked a consistent flow. It's just when they teased really picking it up, they slowed back down and never really got going. The best part was Nese picking up another win and further establishing the knee strike finish. And I also like that they continued with the Perkins angle as well. So 2 3/4 stars, second best fight of the night. Then we had the debut of Akira Tozawa. He went one-on-one with Aaron Solo. Winner of the match in 3 minutes, Akira Tozawa. No rating to a dud. Worst fight of the night. Okay debut for Tozawa, but I felt that Solo got in too much. It should have been Tozawa hitting all of his cool signature stuff and getting out with an effortless win. So no rating to a dud. Worst fight of the night. And then in the main event, tag team action. Cruiserweight champion Neville teaming up with Noam Dar against Cedric Alexander and Jack Gallagher. Winners of the match in 13 minutes and 3 seconds. It was Cedric Alexander and Jack Gallagher. So by default, this was the fight of the night. Solid 3 stars. Neville being an a-hole champion that hates everyone on the 205 roster only makes him even better. The match was a good one. Neville was spectacular. Dar got put in his place, and Alexander got some revenge. And Gallagher continues to win over the crowds and was a good face in peril in this match. So that's it. Overall, I got to say between 6.5 and 7 out of 10. Tony Nese continues to roll, destroying men with his knee strikes and looking strong as he heads into a feud with TJP. Akira Tozawa is finally here. His debut was solid, but he appears to be a surrogate for the injured Tajiri. Kendrick in recent weeks has been running through jobbers and talking smack, but was uncharacteristically quiet as Tozawa killed a man. Swan being hurt may be a blessing in disguise for now, as WWE will not be able to run into the immediate rematch with him and Neville. It appears that Alexander and Gallagher will fill in until he's healed up. Overall, it was a perfectly fine and easy to watch show. They have some stories going. Neville is amazing, and it was easy to watch. I just wish that they would book a wacky and wild tag or multi-person match from time to time and really let them cut loose. This show is desperately missing some high-energy sprints. So other than that, 6.5, 7 out of 10. Solid show. And, of course, don't forget, tomorrow night on 205 Live, that fatal 5-way elimination match. Winner gets Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship at Fastlane. And I'll keep an eye on it during Cerebral Smack Talk tomorrow night. And as soon as I find out who the winner is, I'll report it. And then maybe we'll give a brief thought about it if it's okay with MF. All right. So with that being said, we're going to move on to my other review here. Impact Wrestling is what we're going to get into next. All right. Of course, this was Open Fight Night, as everybody knows. The return of Open Fight Night. Coming off a very highly successful Genesis show. This one, not so much, but let's get into it. Broken Hardys, they came out. They did their usual stuff, which was awesome as always. But Bobby Lashley came out because Jeff Hardy had announced his intentions that he was going to cash in his green briefcase, which was good for a World Heavyweight Championship match whenever he wanted it. And he was like, yo, brother, I look forward to more tag team conquest with you, but tonight I'm challenging Bobby Lashley. And Bobby Lashley came out and says, okay, I'm ready for war, apocalypse, deletion, what have you. And he's like, and then Jeff's like, you know what, Matt, I got this. No need for you to be out here. I want to go one-on-one with this guy. I don't need your help. I want there to be no excuses. Good, how it should be. So it led into and how about this? First match of the show, TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Bobby Lashley, Jeff Hardy. Winner of the match in 14 minutes and 35 seconds. And still the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Bobby Lashley. No doubt about it. This was the fight of the night. 3.5 stars. Very good match to kick off the show. Lashley wins his first defense in clean fashion and against someone with a name. The match was very good. Lashley's win came off well, and Jeff worked hard and did well for a guy with negative functionality in his knees. It's no secret that Jeff's one knee is basically shredded, and that from an athletic standpoint, he has become a limited performer. There were times where he kept trying to do all of the old Jeff Hardy things, but one of the best things to come out of the Broken Hardy saga was that Jeff has learned to rely on the gimmick and play the hits when needed. It took time, but he's adapted, and when he commits to that, he can still have quality singles outings like this one. So fight of the night, 3.5 stars. No doubt about it. And then Eddie Edwards was asking Bobby Lashley for a rematch. Yeah, that was fine. And then it was a backstage segment with Brandy. Rosemary wanted Brandy to join Decay. Brandy refused. So obviously something's going to come out of that. So it leads into our next match. Brooke Tessmacher. She's back in TNA, as you know. She went one-on-one with Sienna. Sienna wins the match in 5 minutes and 25 seconds with the silencer. 1 star. We go from the fight of the night to the worst fight of the night. Well, actually, I beg your pardon. This was the second worst fight of the night. I stand corrected. One was actually worse than this, but yeah, this was not very good and filled with way too much BS with Maria, and the action largely felt often or clunky. There's nothing wrong with the heel winning with help, but when you do it so many times in such a short time frame, it just takes away from the in-ring effort. So that's it. 1 star. Yeah. DCC went up. All 3 members of the DCC went up against the K in a 3-on-2 handicap match. DCC wins it in 6 minutes and 25 seconds. 1.5 stars. DCC got a much-needed win, but this did nothing for me. Taking this kind of punishment and those kinds of bumps in a TV bout with no build seems completely stupid to me. And if you're going to ask guys to take that kind of punishment, build up the bout as something important, it wasn't like the action was all that good or heated either. And then Drew Galloway basically issues an open challenge for the Grand Championship, and then some ham and egg or jabroni by the name of Rob Risen accepts the challenge. Drew Galloway wins the match. Yeah, he's still the Grand Champion. 2 minutes and 10 seconds of the first round via pinfall. Yeah, this was the worst fight of the night. No rating to a dud. Basic heel bait and switch by Galloway to avoid Moose to beat an opponent who had no chance. It worked for what it was, and I like Galloway knocking off Goose. So, X Division Championship on the line. DJZ defending against Trevor Lee. Winner of the match in 6 minutes and 18 seconds. And new TNA X Division champion Trevor Lee wins the title. This was actually a ladder match for the X Division title. And Trevor Lee, like I said, won it. He's now the new champ. 2 stars. Not much of a match quality-wise, but it was a good heel game plan by Helms and Lee to essentially steal the title. It worked to protect DJZ and, in theory, put some heat on Lee. Eli Drake went up against Ethan Carter III. Next, Ethan Carter III wins the match, 10 minutes, 45 seconds. Another 2-star bout. It was okay, but never really picked up as it just went on and on. Drake EC3 feud feels stalled to me. They tried to kick it up a notch here, but it just never clicked with me. And that actually was the main event of the evening. So, all right. As far as my overall rating goes, I can only give it a 6 out of 10. It wasn't a bad show overall, but I felt that it was a largely flat one. Outside of the opening bout, which I really enjoyed, Lee's evil plan to take the X title and the actual attempt to put some heat on the DCC open fight night gimmick didn't really do much for me. A lot of the wrestling was fine and okay at best, but not much more. Hopefully this is one of those down weeks that sets for next week's show to be the rebound and pick things back up. It felt like a disappointment following the Genesis show, which was very enjoyable, which I had hoped was going to kick off a run of hot shows. Again, I wouldn't call it a bad show per se, but I wasn't really into it outside of the Lashley Hardy World Title match. So 6 out of 10 is my overall rating for this show. And now we move on to our next show, which, of course, goes down on Thursday night, and which will air on Pop Television. I'll see if I can find some stuff here to see what's going to go down on this show. I want to make sure I give you the right stuff here. All right. Okay. This is what I can give you for the show coming up. I believe Brandy Rhodes is going to cut a promo, and they're going to further the angle with her and Rosemary and Decay. Moose is going to get involved with that, so watch that out. Aaron Rex will go up against Robbie E. The Helms Dynasty talks about the X Division title. Something goes down with that. I guess we get a return match with Brooke Tessmacher and Sienna. Mixed tag team match. Moose and Brandy Rhodes are going to team up against Crazy Steve and Rosemary of the Decay. DCC will go up against Eli Drake and Tyrus in a 3-on-2 handicap match. So that's really all I can give you. Just tune in Thursday night, 8 o'clock, Pop Television. So that's it. So that'll do it for this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all very much for tuning in. Of course, we're going to do our shout-outs now very quickly. Just save me for last so I can set up the future content, including a loaded Strictly Sports show on Friday night. So, gentlemen, whoever wants it first, Bullet, MF, take it.
All right. First off, I want to say thank you to all the great fans out there for making the show as amazing as it is. You guys are the best fans in the world. Special thank you to the super fans. You guys know who you guys are. Special thank you to my friends from the junior high and high school days, 2184 crew. Love you guys. I know I'm off for a couple of days, but can't wait to see you guys on Wednesday. And then my content is tomorrow night is another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, SmackDown Live. We got a good show coming up. The featured fight of the night, WWE Champion John Cena against the winner of the Royal Rumble, Randy Orton. That is going to be a great match, one-on-one. Plus, we got, of course, some Ring of Honor news. And I also going to give you my thoughts about New Japan Pro Wrestling. The new beginnings from Sapporo, where Derek Ferreira made a video about it. I'm going to give you my 2 cents about it. Big IWGP Heavyweight Championship fight that went down. The Rainmaker, Okada. Right now, he's the man who's holding possibly the fight of the year after his grand fight with Kenny Omega from Wrestle Kingdom 11. He put the IWGP Heavyweight title on the line against Suki Gun's very own Minoru Suzuki for the title. How did that turn out? You'll get my 2 cents about it as that fight went down from the land of the rising sun. 10 p.m. Eastern, special start time for you folks. Braves Fan 95, see you mañana. Until then, Mike Fletcher, you know the routine. Hold the hand pounds. I'm out. Have a good night, everybody. Michael Bullock, it's all yours, my friend.
Yes, and of course, a special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's this, the Cerebral Smack Talk, or Ridiculous, or the Strictly Sports, and of course, Ridiculously Raw. Of course, we thank you all so very much for tuning in on this night. Of course, special shout out to, of course, all of our super fans. You guys know who you are, and of course, to our friends from our high school days. You guys know who you are. So yeah. So there's really nothing more to say. So until I see you guys Friday night for Strictly Sports, this is Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. Of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now. So, Florio, take us home.
All right, we'll do, Bullock. Of course, a special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our projects as over as they are. We appreciate it as always. Best fans in the world. You know that feeling by now. Special shout out to Dee Dee Woodson and her family as always. Of course, the rest of our crew, Matt Ward, Jason Nixonbaugh, Daniel Luttrell from the UK, our other first ladies, Kaiser Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway, our other crew members, Eric Carrier, Tommy Souza, Jimmy Alden, Alvarez, and Rob Parsons, and last but not least, the man who put it all together, the man himself, the hardcore pipe bomb, Derek Ferreira. And boy, did he have a hardcore pipe bomb following last night's epic Super Bowl, to say the very least. Check out that video on his channel, Boston Sports Fan 84, as well as some other great content over there. And I'll save the rest of my shout outs for Friday night. Of course, feature content, like MF mentioned, tomorrow night, 10 p.m., Cerebral Smack Talk on his channel, Braves Fan 95. We'll review SmackDown Live, headlined by the big match, John Cena and Randy Orton. That should be hella fun, hopefully. We'll see. I'll also report on that 205 live result as soon as I get it, because that's a big deal match right there. And then in his Mikey's Mindset, the ROH, RWA, some other stuff there. And then from there, 10:30 Friday night on Strictly Sports. I got the docket as released by Derek Ferreira earlier tonight. Here you go. We're going to continue to talk post-Super Bowl with the 2017 announcement of the new members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll share our thoughts on the 7 new inductees into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll also recap the NFL honors, the winners of all that. We'll talk about our favorite Super Bowl commercials. Michael Vick officially announcing his retirement from the NFL. Unfortunately, we do have a hard time story that we're going to have to cover. The St. Louis Cardinals hacking case. Zach Levine of the Minnesota Timberwolves, done for the season. He's out with a torn ACL. Hopefully MF will be here so we can get a preview of UFC 208. If he's here, I'm sure MF will have some thoughts on that. And then in our main event, of course, we'll have our NHL Power Rankings. So that all goes down Friday night, 10:30, right here on the Tone 25. So that's it. So until tomorrow night over on MF's channel for Cerebral Smack Talk, it's Ridiculously Over Anthony Florio, for Good on MF Michael Fletcher, for the Phenom Michael Bullock, and in spirit, the Twisted Angel and First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Dee Dee Woodson, and the Hardcore Pipe Bomb, Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Tuesday. And until tomorrow night for Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Braves Fan 95, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. Good night, everybody.